The crystal chandelier shattered first. Queen Amara of the Jalari Empire reached for her throat, her silver skin flushing deep violet as the poison took hold. The diplomatic hall erupted into chaos. Jalari guards drew plasma weapons, human delegates dove for cover, and Dr. Vincent Kane was already moving. He crossed the marble floor in 4 strides, medical kit in hand. A Jalari warrior blocked his path, mandibles spread wide in threat posture. Vincent didn't slow down. Move, or she dies in 90 seconds. The guard hesitated. Vincent shouldered past him and dropped to his knees beside the convulsing queen. Her 4 eyes rolled back, respiratory slits along her neck fluttering uselessly. He'd seen this before. Neurotoxin. Something that targeted Jalari neurochemistry specifically. "Get me space," he barked. "Everyone back, now." He didn't wait for compliance. His fingers found her pulse points, 3 of them along her thorax. Erratic, weakening. He pulled a neural stabilizer from his kit and pressed it against her primary nerve cluster. The device hummed to life. "Ma'am, can you hear me? I need you to focus on my voice." Her eyes found him. Just for a moment. Recognition flickered there, but that made no sense. They'd never met. "My name is Dr. Vincent Kane," he said, keeping his voice steady as he worked. "I'm going to counteract the poison. You need to stay with me." The queen's entire body went rigid. Her eyes locked onto his face with an intensity that had nothing to do with the poison. Her breathing slits stopped moving altogether. "Vincent Kane," she whispered, the words barely audible through her paralyzed throat. Then she passed out. Vincent's hands moved on autopsy, injecting counteragents, stabilizing her cardiovascular system, forcing oxygen into her blood. Around him, weapons powered up. Someone was shouting orders in Jalari. He tuned it all out. The queen's second heart was failing. He had maybe 30 seconds. The antitoxin hit her system. For 3 terrible heartbeats, nothing happened. Then her eyes snapped open and she drew in a ragged breath. The violet flush began to fade. Her pulse steadied under his fingers. "Welcome back, Your Majesty," Vincent said. She stared at him like she'd seen a ghost. Her hand shot out with surprising strength and gripped his wrist. Her mouth opened and closed, no words coming out. Behind him, a Jalari voice spoke in heavily accented English. "Step away from the queen." Immediately, Vincent finished checking her vitals before he looked up. A female Jalari officer stood over him, plasma rifle aimed at his head. Her rank insignia marked her as Royal Guard Commander. Her finger was on the trigger. "She needs observation for the next hour," Vincent said calmly. "The initial counteragent is temporary. If the toxin resurges, she'll go into cardiac arrest. Our own physicians will attend to her." "Your own physicians aren't here. I am, and I just saved her life." The commander's mandibles clicked in anger. "You're human. You will not touch the queen again, Commander Zira." The queen's voice was weak but clear. "Stand down. Your Majesty, this human cannot be trusted. I said stand down." Amara pushed herself up on her elbows. Her silver skin still held traces of violet, but her eyes were sharp. "Dr. Kane will continue treatment. Anyone who interferes will answer to me personally." The commander lowered her weapon, but her posture screamed reluctance. Vincent helped Amara into a sitting position, monitoring her vitals with a handheld scanner. Her breathing was still labored. The toxin had done serious damage. "Can you tell me what you ingested in the last hour?" he asked. "The ceremonial wine." Her eyes never left his face. "Only I drank from that specific bottle. It was a gift from Advisor Calron." Vincent's jaw tightened. Assassination attempt, specifically targeted. He pulled another vial from his kit and prepared an injection. "This will help flush the remaining toxin. You'll feel nauseous. I know you." She said it quietly, almost wonderingly. 20 years ago. The Battle of Epsilon Ridge. Vincent's hand froze halfway to her arm. The injection trembled in his grip. Around them, the room went deathly silent. Every Jalari in earshot turned to stare. "You're mistaken, Your Majesty. I've never... You pulled me out of the rubble." Her voice grew stronger. "I was a junior lieutenant. My entire squad was dead. You found me bleeding out and you didn't leave me to die. Vincent's throat went dry. He remembered Epsilon Ridge. How could he forget? The worst day of the war. The day that ended his military career. You told me your name, Amara continued. You said if I survived, I should remember that a human named Vincent Kane chose mercy over orders. The Jalari guards were muttering now. Commander Zira stepped forward, her expression unreadable. Your Majesty, what are you saying? I'm saying this human saved my life once before. During the war. Against his own military's direct orders. Amara's eyes glistened. He was court-martialed for it, stripped of rank, exiled from Earth's core worlds. Vincent administered the injection because his hands needed something to do. The memories came flooding back despite his best efforts to suppress them. The screaming, the fire, the Jalari soldiers buried under collapsed fortifications. His commanding officer's voice in his ear, clear and cold. Let them die, Kane. That's an order. I was a field medic, he said quietly. I took an oath. Enemy or not, you were wounded. I couldn't. You saved 17 of us that day. Amara gripped his hand. 17 Jalari who would have died if you'd followed your orders. I was one of them. 18. Vincent corrected automatically. There were 18 survivors. 18. Amara smiled despite the pain. You kept count. Commander Zira's weapon clattered to the floor. She fell to one knee before Vincent, her head bowed. Honored physician, I did not know. The soldiers of Epsilon Ridge are legend among our people. We thought the stories of the human doctor were myth. They're not myth. Amara's voice rang out across the hall. They're truth, and this man paid dearly for his compassion. Vincent wanted to deflect, to minimize, to move the conversation back to the medical emergency at hand, but Amara wasn't finished. She addressed the entire room, human and Jalari alike, her voice gaining strength with each word. I was captured after Epsilon Ridge, spent 2 years in a human POW camp, but I was alive because of Dr. Kane. And during those 2 years I had time to think, time to realize that any species capable of producing individuals like him was not the monster we'd been taught to fear. She turned to the human delegation, who stood frozen in shock. When I returned home, I became an advocate for peace. I rose through our political ranks on a platform of reconciliation. Everything I have accomplished, every bridge I have built between our peoples, started the day this human chose to save his enemies. Vincent felt the weight of every eye in the room. The poison had been meant to kill more than just the Queen. It was meant to kill hope, to restart the war. He'd stopped it, but only for the moment. Whoever wanted Amara dead would try again. As if summoning his thoughts into reality, the Queen gasped. Her eyes went wide. Vincent's scanner shrieked in alarm. Secondary toxin, he snapped. There's a second component. Delayed activation. Amara convulsed. Her skin flashed from silver to deep purple to black. Vincent grabbed her shoulders as she collapsed backward. This wasn't the same poison. This was something new, something worse. I need a full medical bay. Now. The human cannot. Someone started. The human is the only reason she's still breathing. Commander Zira cut in. Move. All of you. Clear a path to the medical wing. They ran through corridors of polished stone, Vincent carrying the Queen in his arms, while guards sprinted ahead to clear the way. She was seizing now, her entire nervous system misfiring. He could feel her heart struggling, arrhythmic and weak. The medical bay doors slammed open. Vincent laid her on the nearest table and began working with desperate efficiency. Neural stabilizers, cardiovascular support, oxygen infusion. Nothing was working. The second toxin was designed to kill even if the first one failed. Who gave her the wine, he demanded. Commander Zira stood at attention. Advisor Kelrin presented it personally, a gift from the eastern provinces. Where is he now? I will find him. No. Vincent's eyes never left his patient. You'll stay here. Send someone else. I need you to tell me everything about Jalari neurochemistry. Everything. For the next 20 minutes, Zira fed him information while Vincent fought to keep the Queen alive. He tried 17 different counteragents. None worked. The toxin was too sophisticated, too specifically engineered. Whoever designed it knew Jalari biology intimately. Amara's vitals crashed. Her heart stopped. Vincent grabbed the neural stimulator and pressed it directly against her chest cavity. The jolt of electricity made her body arch off the table. Nothing. He increased the power and tried again. Still nothing. "Come on," he muttered. "You didn't survive Epsilon Ridge to die on a conference table?" He administered a massive dose of combat stimulants, the kind used on human soldiers in the field to keep them fighting through catastrophic injuries. It was experimental, untested on Jalari physiology. It might kill her faster. Her heart's restarted. Weak, but beating. Vincent exhaled. Then the door to the medical bay exploded inward. Advisor Kelron stood in the doorway, flanked by 6 armed guards. His mandibles were spread wide in what Vincent had learned to recognize as a predatory smile. The guards' weapons were trained not on Vincent, but on Commander Zira and the handful of loyalists in the room. "Step away from the Queen, human," Kelron said pleasantly. "Your usefulness has ended." Vincent placed himself between the advisor and Amara. "You poisoned her. Obviously, a necessary sacrifice. Her peace agenda has made our people weak. We were warriors once. We will be warriors again. By killing your own queen? By removing a traitor and blaming her death on human treachery?" Kelron's eyes gleamed. "The perfect catalyst for war. Your presence here, human physician, is wonderfully convenient. The doctor who saved her once, failing to save her now. The tragedy will be exquisite." Commander Zira moved to draw her weapon. One of Kelron's guards shot her. She went down hard, a plasma burn across her shoulder. The other loyalists raised their hands. Vincent didn't move. His mind raced through options. The stimulants he'd given Amara would keep her alive for maybe 10 more minutes. After that, her system would crash completely. He needed time. He needed a miracle. "You're making a mistake," he said. "The Queen is alive. She can testify to what you've done. She's unconscious and dying. Her testimony is irrelevant." Kelron stepped into the room. "Shoot him." The guards raised their weapons. Vincent grabbed the neural stimulator and hurled it at the nearest guard. It hit him in the face and discharged, sending him sprawling. Vincent dove behind the medical table as plasma fire scorched the air where he'd been standing. Behind the meager cover, he worked frantically. He pulled a combat injector from his kit and loaded it with every stimulant, every adrenaline analog, every experimental compound he had. It was enough to kill a human instantly. It might give Amara 5 minutes of consciousness, 5 minutes to speak, 5 minutes to expose the conspiracy. He jammed the injector into her primary nerve cluster and pressed the trigger. Amara's eyes snapped open. She sat up like someone rising from the dead, her skin flashing through a dozen colors as the chemicals hit her system. Her voice, when she spoke, was amplified somehow, echoing through the medical bay and beyond. "This is Queen Amara of the Jalari Empire. I am addressing all citizens on all frequencies. Advisor Carrion has attempted to assassinate me. He intends to blame humanity and restart the war." Kelron lunged forward. "Shut her up! Kill them both!" But Amara was still broadcasting, still speaking. Her words transmitted through the medical bay's emergency communication system. "I name Kelron a traitor. I name his co-conspirators. General Vex of the Northern Fleet, Minister Cora of the War Council, Ambassador Thane of..." A guard shot her. The plasma bolt hit her in the chest. She staggered but kept talking, kept naming names, kept broadcasting. Vincent caught her as she fell back onto the table. The stimulants were the only thing keeping her alive. Her hearts were tearing themselves apart from the strain. "The human doctor Vincent Kane has saved me twice now," she said, her voice growing faint. "Once during the war, when mercy was forbidden. Once today, when trust was impossible. He represents the best of his species. He is proof that peace is not weakness, that compassion is not cowardice." She looked at Vincent. "Finish what we started. Don't let them win." Then her eyes closed and her vitals flatlined. Vincent worked like a machine. Chest compressions, neural stimulation, every technique he knew. Around him, the sound of combat filled the air. Commander Zira, injured but mobile, had rallied the Loyalists. They fought Kelron's guards in brutal close quarters, but Vincent heard none of it. His entire world had narrowed to the Queen's still form. "Not like this," he said. "Not after everything. Not again." He grabbed the experimental human cardiac restart module from his kit. It was designed for human biology. Using it on a Jalari could cause permanent damage, but permanent damage was better than death. He placed the module against her chest and activated it. The device sent concentrated electromagnetic pulses directly into her cardiac tissue. Her body jerked once, twice. On the third pulse, her primary heart spasmed. On the fourth, it found rhythm. Her secondary heart followed. Her eyes opened. "You're stubborn," she whispered. "You're one to talk." Around them, the fighting had stopped. Kelron lay dead. A plasma burned through his chest. His guards were either dead or surrendered. Commander Zira stood over them, wounded but victorious, her weapons still raised. The broadcast went out, Zira reported. Every Jalari in the system heard it. "The conspiracy is exposed. Kelron's co-conspirators are being arrested across all territories." Amara smiled weakly. "Good. That's good." Vincent kept monitoring her vitals. She was stable, but barely. The stimulants had bought them time, but she needed real treatment. Sophisticated treatment. Days of intensive care. "You're going to court-martial me again," he said quietly. "Those stimulants weren't approved for Jalari use." "No," Amara said. "I'm going to give you a medal and a job." "Your Majesty, you saved my life twice. You exposed a conspiracy that would have destroyed everything we've built. And you did it all while technically violating about 60 medical protocols." She laughed, then winced. "You're exactly what the human-Jalari medical exchange program needs. Someone who cares more about results than rules." "I don't think the medical board will... I'm granting you full diplomatic immunity as the official liaison for human-Jalari medical cooperation. You'll work directly under my authority. The medical board can file a complaint if they want. I'll personally deliver it to the recycling center." Vincent looked at her, at this alien queen who'd remembered his name for 20 years, who'd built a career on the foundation of mercy he'd shown her, who'd just survived 2 assassination attempts and was already thinking about the future. "I accept," he said. Over the next 3 days, Vincent supervised Amara's recovery personally. The Jalari medical staff worked alongside him, initially skeptical but gradually respectful as they watched him navigate their biology with intuitive precision. He taught them human emergency protocols. They taught him Jalari neurochemical balancing. The exchange was exactly what Amara had envisioned. On the 4th day, she summoned him to her private chambers. She sat in a chair by the window, her silver skin fully restored, her 4 eyes bright and alert. She looked like a queen again. "I've been reviewing your service record," she said. "Both your military record and your civilian work on the frontier worlds." Vincent stood at attention out of old habit. "And you've saved approximately 4,000 lives in the past 20 years. Human, Jalari, and 17 other species. You've developed 3 new surgical techniques. You've published groundbreaking research on cross-species medicine. And you did all of it while officially disgraced and exiled." "I had time on my hands," she smiled. "The humans who court-martialed you were fools. The Jalari who doubted you were fools. But I am not a fool, Dr. Shies. Kane, I know what you are. You're a healer who cannot stop healing. A man who sees patients, not enemies. A physician who will break any rule, defy any order, risk any punishment if it means saving a life. That sounds like a character flaw. It sounds like exactly what we need." She stood and walked to him. "The peace between our peoples is fragile. It requires trust. And trust requires individuals willing to prove, again and again, that mercy is stronger than fear. Will you be that individual?" Vincent thought about Epsilon Ridge, about the soldiers he'd saved despite his orders, about the career he'd lost and the reputation he'd destroyed, about Amara dying on a table, her conspiracy broadcast exposing traitors and solidifying peace. Some rules existed to be broken. Some protocols were meant to be violated. Some orders demanded disobedience. "Yes," he said, "I will." Amara extended her hand in the human fashion. Vincent shook it, and in that moment, in that simple gesture of trust between former enemies, the future shifted. The peace that Vincent had accidentally planted 20 years ago took deeper root. Because sometimes, mercy was the most powerful weapon of all, and sometimes, the willingness to break the rules was the only thing that could save the world.